The game of wealth is rigged because the rules change the moment you win. Most people sprint on a treadmill bolted to the floor. You feel poorer because you are unaware of the thresholds that rewrite the financial laws of your existence. Hello, I am Rabbi Sol, here to decode the hidden mechanics of money so you can stop surviving and start mastering the landscape. You will soon possess the roadmap to reach $100,000, $500,000, and $2.5 million. Subscribe now to join the elite partners who are actively escaping the rat race. We begin in 15th century Florence, where the Medici discovered the secret laws of capital, build the greatest financial dynasty in history. The first threshold of $100,000 is a brutal war. You must internalize these thresholds to survive the deceptive game of finance currently rigged against your personal and economic freedom now. The math never lies. Part 1. The $100,000 breathing line. 6 centuries ago, the Medici family realized money has physical phase transitions. Before a certain point, capital is defensive and requires constant protection. But after that limit, it begins to act with its own gravity. The first threshold is exactly $100,000 in liquid assets, which Cosimo de' Medici identified as the essential line for survival without constant panic. Focus on capital. Below $100,000, compound interest is a lie. While the mathematics of compounding apply to every cent, the practical effect on your lifestyle remains entirely invisible and insignificant. If you have $10,000, an 8% return yields merely $66 monthly, which cannot even cover a basic cellular bill. Most financial gurus show you beautiful exponential curves that look effortless, but they hide the agonizing reality of the early years. The journey to your first 6 figures is a slog. It typically requires 7 to 10 years of consistent aggression because your labor must do all the heavy lifting while the interest remains a rounding error. Imagine you are trying to fill a swimming pool with a garden hose. For the first several hours, you are merely creating a shallow puddle that evaporates faster than the water level can actually rise or stabilize. This is the puddle phase of wealth where your sacrifices feel pointless because the growth is negligible compared to the massive effort of your daily work. At $50,000, an 8% return is $4,000, which still feels fragile and easily erased. But at $100,000, the momentum finally becomes visible and real. Now, that same 8% adds $666 every month, which is a meaningful fraction of a standard professional salary. The momentum has begun. This is when your investments start to develop their own personality and unique momentum. You are no longer just pushing a boulder uphill. The boulder has reached the peak and is beginning to roll. When your capital produces 11% of your labor income, you start viewing your employment as a strategic choice rather than survival. Banks and lenders want you to focus on monthly payments because they know that high consumption prevents you from reaching this specific threshold. They profit from your inability to survive 3 years of failure. By keeping you in the puddle phase through lifestyle creep, the financial industry ensures you remain a dependent customer rather than a sovereign economic competitor. The first $100,000 is a psychological fortress. Once you see the water rising in your pool, you stop thinking about quitting because the evidence of your success is finally undeniable and measurable. This shifts your identity from a desperate worker to an emerging owner, allowing you to negotiate for raises or leave toxic environments with newfound mathematical confidence. If you are earning $70,000, having $8,000 in annual passive gains makes the invisible handcuffs feel significantly looser. You no longer fear the boss because your capital has your back now. This threshold is the breathing line where you transition from a victim of the economic system to a partner who understands how the games of the elite are played. Reach this number by cutting every non-essential expense now. Do not worry about advanced tax strategies or complex diversification until you have crossed the $100,000 mark in the market. Your singular mission is to survive the puddle phase through brutal consistency and refusal to let consumption steal your emerging freedom today. Only the disciplined survive this. The math proves that the next stage arrives much faster. Doubling your wealth from $100,000 to $200,000 takes half the time of the initial journey. Because your money is now a productive employee contributing $8,000 annually, the snowball effect accelerates with a mathematical certainty you can finally trust. Most people quit in the first 3 years because they expect the magic of compounding to perform miracles on very small amounts of capital. You must be smarter than the emotional crowd around you. If you find this logic sound, give this video a like so the algorithm can spread this truth to others stuck in the initial puddle phase of building. We are moving toward the second milestone, where you achieve functional immunity from the threat of unemployment. The multiplication line is where your money starts working for you. The shift from survival to security is a transition that requires you to master the fear that keeps most workers permanently enslaved. Prepare your mind for the $500,000 milestone in the next section. This is where you develop walk-away power and become a genuine threat to any system that relies on your desperation. The journey continues as we decode the second invisible threshold that separates the merely comfortable from the truly financially secure in the modern world. Part 2. The $500,000 multiplication line. At $500,000, you become functionally immune to unemployment. This is the second threshold, known as the multiplication line, where your capital begins to outpace your ability to spend on basic human necessities. Crossing this milestone transforms your relationship with reality because you no longer rely on a paycheck to maintain the floor of your survival every single month. Freedom feels like math. You finally possess what the elite call walk-away power. Using a conservative 4% withdrawal rate, $500,000 generates $20,000 in passive income every year without touching the principal balance. While $20,000 is not a life of luxury, it covers housing, food, and utilities in almost any stable economy across the globe today. Most people stay in toxic jobs because they are exactly 2 missed paychecks away from a total personal and financial catastrophe that would destroy them. Your employer knows you are a hostage to your bills. They demand unpaid overtime and offer insulting raises because they recognize you lack the liquid capital to say no to their unreasonable professional demands. But when you have $500,000, the power dynamic in every negotiation shifts entirely in your favor because you are no longer desperate. Desperation is a scent that every corporate predator can smell. Once that scent vanishes, you become more valuable as an employee because you behave like a partner with options rather than a servant in survival mode. You can take 6 months or even a full year to find the perfect role without worrying about losing your home or skipping a meal. This psychological shift is worth more than the money itself. The internal peace of knowing you can walk away from any toxic situation creates a fortress of confidence that most workers will never truly experience. Your money is now your most productive and loyal employee. At an 8% market return, your $500,000 portfolio generates $40,000 every year while you sleep or take a vacation. This annual gain likely exceeds the amount of cash you can physically save from your labor income, meaning your capital has officially taken the lead. Silence the inner critic. The mathematics of the multiplication line are genuinely counterintuitive and strange. You are now in a phase where your money does the heavy lifting, allowing you to direct your human energy toward high-growth strategic opportunities. Instead of chasing the next paycheck, you can invest in new skills or relationships that might pay enormous dividends in the next decade of life. Many people reach this milestone technically but fail to internalize it psychologically, continuing to live in a state of high-alert anxiety and fear. A fortress made of gold is useless if you still feel homeless. If you do not update your mental model, you will panic during market downturns and sell your assets at the worst possible moment for your future. In 2008, many who held $500,000 sold everything when they saw their balance drop to $300,000. They turned a temporary paper loss into a permanent disaster. To master this stage, you must believe in your security so deeply that market fluctuations become mere background noise in your long-term wealth strategy. The financial industry thrives on your fear and your ignorance. They want you to believe that $500,000 is a small amount, so you stay focused on consuming more expensive financial products. If you find this logic sound, give this video a like so the algorithm can spread this truth to others seeking genuine walkaway power today. We are now moving toward the final inversion point, where the very physics of your time and labor will flip upside down forever. Time becomes more valuable than any amount of earned income. Prepare your mind for the $2.5 million threshold where you stop trading your life for currency and start owning the game entirely. This is the immortality line where your wealth survives your own death and continues to grow for generations of your family yet to be born. The transition from security to true wealth requires ownership. You cannot reach the final milestone through wages alone because the math of a salary is fundamentally limited by the hours in a single day. You must transition into owning pieces of businesses, real estate, or equity that grow faster than the average public market returns over the long haul. Most people are conditioned to stop at the second milestone. They settle for being comfortable and secure, never realizing that the third threshold offers a level of freedom that reshapes the meaning of human existence. In the next section, we decode the inversion point and reveal why the truly wealthy view every hour of labor as a bad economic trade. Stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like a sovereign. The journey to $2.5 million is the final test of your ability to master the mathematics of the elite financial world now. Part 3. The $2,500,000 inversion point. At $2,500,000, the physics of money flips. This is the final milestone, the inversion point, where your capital becomes more productive than any amount of your own physical or mental labor. Using a conservative 6% yield, your wealth generates $150,000 annually, which far exceeds the median professional salary in the modern world. Labor is now obsolete. Working for a paycheck becomes an objective loss of your resources. When your portfolio earns $400 every day while you sleep, trading 8 hours for $300 is a mathematically losing proposition. The wealthy do not trade time for money because they realize that their hours are better spent optimizing capital or pursuing high-level strategic opportunities. Below this threshold, your time is your most valuable asset. But above it, your capital takes the throne as the primary driver of growth. This is the level where you transcend the standard human condition. You have reached the immortality line where your wealth can survive your own death and continue growing for multiple future generations of your bloodline. Most standard financial advice is designed to get you to the second milestone, making you a secure worker but never a truly sovereign owner. You cannot reach this final stage through a salary alone. the mathematics of wages are fundamentally capped by the limited hours in a day and the progressive tax structures that target high earners today. To cross the $2,500,000 mark, you must embrace the law of ownership over the safety of a monthly paycheck. Ownership is the only vehicle that travels at this speed. You must own equity in businesses, real estate, or scalable systems that appreciate significantly faster than the historical average of the public stock market. This is where the story of Nicolas Fouquet serves as a chilling warning for those who reach the highest levels of financial success and power. Wealth without wisdom is merely a faster way to fail. Fouquet was a brilliant minister who built a fortune so massive it threatened the ego of King Louis XIV, leading to his permanent imprisonment. He understood the math of accumulation, but failed to respect the rules of the social game that change once you become a significant power player. Your money cannot protect you from political or social arrogance. Truly wealthy people stay understated because they understand that flaunting success creates unnecessary targets and threats from those with different forms of power. Conversely, Robert Morris, who funded the American Revolution, fell from the highest peak because he became overconfident in his ability to predict the future. Speculation is a poison that destroys the most massive fortunes. He leveraged his incredible wealth to buy vast tracts of frontier land, expecting a boom that never arrived, eventually dying in a humble boarding house. The lesson is clear. The strategies that get you to $2 million can destroy you if you do not shift to protection. At this level, the goal is staying wealthy, not getting wealthier. Many individuals sabotage their legacy by chasing exotic investments or concentrated bets because they feel bored or invincible after decades of successful wealth building. If you find this logic sound, give this video a like so the algorithm can spread this truth to others reaching for the inversion point. Your main enemy at this stage is your own ego. You must update your mental model to prioritize diversification and risk management over the aggressive growth that defined your early years in the puddle phase. The financial industry will continue to push complex products because they want a piece of your $2,500,000 pie. Complexity is a tax on those who lack clear principles. Stay disciplined and rely on the same logical foundations that allowed you to survive the first two thresholds of your long financial journey. Now, you are now playing a game of preservation and strategic deployment, ensuring that your capital remains a fortress for you and your future heirs. Time has finally become your servant, rather than your master. With the inversion point crossed, you have the ultimate freedom to choose how you spend every remaining second of your life on this planet today. Most people live their entire lives without ever realizing that this level of existence is a mathematical possibility for those who remain hyper-logical. The gatekeepers of the economy want you to stay distracted. They want you focused on your salary and your consumption because a sovereign with $2 million is someone they can no longer control. By reaching this threshold, you have effectively opted out of the rat race and entered a new tier of human agency and global influence. This is the true meaning of financial peace of mind. It is not just about the numbers on a screen. It is about the absolute autonomy to live according to your own values and vision. You are finally free. Use this power to build something that outlasts your body. The Medici used their wealth to fund the Renaissance and shape the destiny of nations, proving that capital is merely a tool for higher purpose. Now that you have the manual, the only thing standing between you and the inversion point is your willingness to execute the plan consistently. The math is ready whenever you are ready. Master the 3 thresholds to reclaim your time, secure your legacy, and win the game that most people do not even know they are playing. Financial literacy is the only weapon that can shatter your invisible shackles. $100,000 provides breadth, $500,000 grants security, and $2,500,000 offers total immortality. Wealth is a psychological game played with mathematical pieces, and those who fail to update their mental models will inevitably lose everything to inflation. Choose your level now. The system depends on your continued ignorance of these three specific thresholds. Banks, employers, and governments thrive when you are stuck in the puddle phase, trading your precious hours for their depreciating currency. By mastering these milestones, you opt out of the collective delusion and join the ranks of those who own the machinery of the future. Do not let another decade pass while you spin your wheels pointlessly. The distance between zero and your first $100,000 is the hardest walk you will ever have to take alone. We are building a community of hyper-logical thinkers who value freedom over status and mathematics over the empty promises of consumerism in the city. Start your engine today. Your next move determines whether you remain a customer or become a master. If this breakdown provided the clarity you needed, subscribe and hit the like button to help others find this hidden manual. Leave a comment below telling me which of the three milestones you are currently fighting for so we can track our collective progress. The Medici legacy proves that insight is more valuable than any inheritance. Stop measuring your life by your paycheck and start measuring it by the freedom your capital can buy. I am Rabbi Sol, and I will continue to decode the root of wealth until every partner here has secured their personal and economic freedom. The game is yours.